Smoke. Fire. A lone bomber drifted through the skies over Europe, with one engine burning, another completely silent, its fuselage ripped open by flak and cannon fire. Inside, oxygen masks fogged with every breath, while frightened crew members waited for the next explosion. German fighters circled for another attack, convinced the aircraft would finally fall. But it didn't. Against every law of probability, the shattered bomber crossed the English Channel and limped back to England, leaving mechanics staring in disbelief. It looked less like an airplane and more like a flying skeleton. Stories like this spread across Allied airfields until crews gave it a name that sounded almost mythical: the Flying Fortress. Yet this aircraft was never supposed to become a legend. Years earlier, as Europe drifted toward war, American military leaders realized their existing bombers lacked the range, firepower, and durability needed for the conflicts they feared were coming. They wanted an aircraft capable of flying farther, carrying heavier bomb loads, defending itself, and surviving punishment that would destroy ordinary bombers. Most engineers believed those demands were unrealistic, but Boeing accepted the challenge. Led by Chief Engineer Edward Curtis Wells and a talented design team in Seattle, they began building a revolutionary 4-engine bomber. 4 engines meant greater range and, more importantly, a better chance of getting home if 1 or even 2 failed.
The aircraft's massive wings, advanced systems, and multiple defensive gun positions made it unlike anything the U.S. Army Air Corps had ever seen. Still, many military officials doubted such a large bomber was practical, arguing it. In 1935, the prototype Model 299 rolled onto the runway, dazzling reporters with its size and firepower. A journalist described it as a flying fortress, and the nickname stuck instantly. Then, disaster struck. During a demonstration flight, the prototype crashed shortly after takeoff, killing respected test pilot Major Ployer Hill. Investigators later discovered the aircraft itself hadn't failed. The crew had accidentally left the control gust locks engaged. It was a simple human mistake, yet it nearly destroyed Boeing's future. Instead of abandoning the design, pilots created something revolutionary: the modern pre-flight checklist. That simple sheet of paper became one of aviation's greatest safety innovations and remains standard procedure today. Despite losing the initial competition, the Army recognized the bomber's potential and ordered improved versions. As tensions rose around the world and the attack on Pearl Harbor pushed America into World War II, Boeing's factories transformed into around-the-clock production lines. Thousands of workers, including countless women, entering the workforce for the first time, built flying fortresses at an astonishing pace. Soon, these bombers filled the skies over Europe. Every B-17 carried a crew of 10 men, each responsible for keeping the aircraft alive during missions that often lasted 8 hours or more. Conditions inside were brutal. Temperatures dropped far below freezing. Oxygen was scarce. Engines roared so loudly that crews relied on crackling intercoms, and every mission meant flying into walls of anti-aircraft fire. The American strategy depended on daylight precision bombing, targeting factories, railroads, oil facilities, and aircraft plants deep inside Nazi Germany. As bomber formations crossed occupied Europe, German radar detected them almost immediately. Black clouds of exploding flak surrounded the aircraft, while Messerschmitt Bf-109s and Focke-Wulf FW-10 attacked relentlessly from every direction. Pilots quickly learned that survival depended on staying in formation, because overlapping machine gun fire offered the best defense. Despite the danger, the Flying Fortress repeatedly demonstrated extraordinary toughness. Photographs returned showing aircraft landing with massive holes in their wings, tails nearly severed, engines destroyed,
and entire sections of fuselage missing. Mechanics often wondered how these bombers had remained airborne at all.
The B-17 earned its legendary reputation not because it was impossible to shoot down, but because it absorbed incredible damage while giving its crews a fighting chance to return home. One of its greatest tests came during the Schweinfurt raids, where Allied planners targeted Germany's vital ball bearing factories. The missions pushed deep into enemy territory without adequate long-range fighter escort. German fighters attacked again and again, exploiting every weakness in the bomber formations. Engines burned, bomb bays jammed, aircraft disappeared into smoke, and losses became devastating. Although the targets suffered damage, the cost forced Allied commanders to rethink their strategy. The answer arrived in the form of long-range escort fighters, especially the North American P-51 Mustang. With Mustangs protecting bomber formations all the way to Berlin and back, German fighters could no longer attack with the same freedom. Losses dropped dramatically, and strategic bombing became far more effective. Meanwhile, Boeing continued improving the Flying Fortress. The B-17G introduced a chin turret to defend against deadly head-on attacks, making the aircraft even more capable. Yet aviation technology moved forward at incredible speed. Even before World War II ended, attention shifted toward the larger, faster Boeing B-29 Superfortress, whose pressurized cabin, greater range, and advanced technology represented the future of strategic bombing. After the war, thousands of B-17s were retired. Many were melted down for scrap, while others found new lives as cargo aircraft, aerial survey platforms, search and rescue planes, and even firefighting tankers. Today, only a small number remain airworthy, preserved by museums and dedicated restoration teams. When one of these surviving flying fortresses takes to the sky, its 4 radial engines still produce the unmistakable sound that once echoed across wartime Europe. The Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress changed aviation forever. It proved the value of long-range strategic bombing, demonstrated the importance of crew coordination, inspired modern aircraft safety procedures through the widespread use of checklists, and showed that engineering could save lives even under impossible circumstances. More importantly, it became a symbol of resilience. It was never truly indestructible. Hundreds were lost, and thousands of brave airmen never returned home. But time after time, battered flying fortresses came home carrying crews who should not have survived. Steel bent, engines failed, wings shattered. Yet somehow, the aircraft kept flying. That is why, decades after the last combat mission, the B-17 remains more than a bomber. It remains one of history's greatest symbols of endurance, proving that sometimes survival itself becomes the greatest victory.